Добрый день, прошу вас. Добрый день, уважаемые депутаты Федерального собрания, сенаторы, депутаты Госдумы, уважаемые граждане России. С сегодняшним посланием я выступаю в сложное, мы все об этом хорошо знаем, рубежное для нашей страны время. В период кардинальных, необратимых перемен во всем мире. Важнейших исторических будущее нашей страны, нашего народа, когда на каждом из нас в период кардинальных, необратимых, колоссальных
drastic changes that are happening around the world, significant historic events that are defining the future of our country and our people, when every one of us carries huge responsibility. A year ago, to protect people living in our historic lands, to ensure security of our country, to eliminate the threat emanating from the neo-Nazi regime in Ukraine that took power after the coup of 2014, we have taken a decision to launch the special military operation. Step by step, carefully and consistently, we are going to resolve the outstanding tasks. Since 2014, Donbass has been fighting for its right to live in their land, to speak their native language. It has fought and it has not given up under the blockade and constant shelling and hatred shown by the Kiev regime. They were waiting and expecting and hoping that Russia will come to its aid. In the meantime, and you are well aware, we did everything we could, absolutely everything we could, to resolve this problem peacefully. We've been involved in negotiations on finding peaceful resolution to this difficult conflict, but behind our backs, they were preparing a different scenario. The promises by the Western leaders, their words about aspirations for peace in the Donbass. As we have seen now, it was all lies. They were just trying to win time. They were turning a blind eye on the political assassinations, on reprisals of the Kiev regime, on tortures on the believers. They were encouraging more and more the Ukrainian neo-Nazis on terrorist attacks against Donbass. In Western academies and colleges, they were trained neo-Nazi battalions, personnel, they were supplying weapons, and I would like to emphasize it, even before the special military operation, the Kiev was negotiating with the West about air defense, about combat planes and other heavy equipment and vehicles, and we also remember about attempts by the Kiev regime to acquire nuclear weapons, and they were stating it publicly. The United States and NATO were promptly deploying their troops and army bases, secret biolabs near our borders. They were maneuvering and learning about the future theater of war, and they were preparing, enslaved by them, Ukraine to the big war, and now they are admitting it publicly, openly. It's as if they are proud of their treacherous behavior, and they were calling Normandy format bluff as performance, and all this time while Donbass was on fire, while the blood was spilled, while Russia was sincerely, I would like to emphasize this, sincerely was looking for a peaceful resolution. They were playing with the lives of the people. They were cheating in this game of cards, and these disgusting methods was tried out before. They played the same double game before when they destroyed Yugoslavia, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and they will never wash away this shame. The notions of dignity, of honor, is not something they understand. It's not for them. For long years of colonialism, dictate, hegemony, they are used to the notion that they can do do anything. They don't care about the world. And in the same manner, like masters, they treat the peoples of their own countries, because they have been lying to them as well by the stories they were telling them about how they were looking for peace, how they were sticking to the Security Council resolutions on Donbass. The peoples of the West are now used as a tool of lies. And we firmly stand not only for our own interests, but for our position that is signifying that in the modern world we should not divide the planet into civilized countries and others. There should be no exceptionalism. We were open for constructive dialogue with the West. We were insisting that both Europe and the entire world need indivisible, equal system of security for all the countries. And for many years we were suggesting to our partners to discuss this idea together and to work on its implementation. But in response, we were receiving only hypocritical reaction. These were words, but there were also actions: expansion of NATO to our borders, establishment of the new anti-rocket defense in Europe and Asia. They decided to cover themselves with this umbrella. They were deploying military contingents not only near the borders of Russia, and I would like to emphasize this, and you are well aware of this. Not a single country in the world has as many military bases abroad like the United States of America. They have hundreds of them. I am emphasizing these hundreds of bases all over the world. Entire planet is peppered with them. Just look at the world map. The world was witnessing how they were withdrawing from arms agreements, like the rocket agreements that we have them. They were unilaterally withdrawing from the agreements that preserved peace on the planet. Why did they do this? It was not by chance. And finally, in December of 2021, we officially sent to the United States and to NATO draft agreements on the security guarantees. But on all the key items of this draft agreement, we received the refusal to discuss that. And then we understood that they agreed to follow the path of aggression, and they did not want to stop. The threat was getting bigger and bigger. The information that we were getting left no doubt that by February of 2022, they were preparing a punitive operation in Donbass. Back in 2014, the Kiev regime was using artillery, tanks and planes against Donbass. We all remember those images when they were bombing Donetsk from the air. They were launching airstrikes against Donetsk and other cities. Back in 2015, again, they attempted to attack Donbass directly. And they continued to blockade, to shell, to launch serious attacks against civilians. And it contradicted absolutely the resolutions adopted by the Security Council of the UN. Absolutely, completely. But everyone pretended like nothing was going on. And I would like to reiterate this. It was them who unleashed this war. And we just used the force, and we are using this to stop the war.
Это удар по Крыму и Севастополю. И мы это знали и понимали. А сейчас о таких далеко идущих замыслах...
Those who planned a new offensive against Donbass, Donetsk, Lugansk, they understood clearly that the next target will be Crimea and Sevastopol. And we understood this, and we knew about this. And now in Kiev they are openly talking about these goals, so now they are out in the open. Something that we knew a long time ago. We are protecting the lives of the people, our home, and the goal of the West is unbridled power. They have already spent more than $150 billion to supply weapons to the Kiev regime. Just compare. According to the Economic Cooperation and Development Organization, to help the poorest countries in the world, G7 allocated in 2020 and 2021 some $60 billion.
И где же
Do you
все
see
разговоры
this?
о борьбе с
They
бедностью?
spend 150 for the war in the poorest countries. Allegedly, they are taking care of that. They have allocated only
При этом
60.
поток денег на войну не
And they
уменьшается.
demand to follow them blindly,
смут и
those
переворотов в
countries
других
who they
странах.
pay to,
Причем,
and
опять же, по всему миру.
how they can talk about sustainability, about the environmental development.
Бесконечные
Where has
обвинения в адрес
it
России.
gone?
Skладывается впечатление,
And
что
they are not
это
stopping
делалось
the
лишь для
flow of
того,
money
чтобы
to
все
support
забыли,
war, and they are spending
что
more money
натворил
on
так
coup
называемый
in the
Запад
other
за последние
countries all across the world. At the recent
Это
conference in
они
Munich,
выпустили джина из бутылки.
they were blaming Russia in all kinds of things.
По оценкам
One
самих
gets an
американских
impression
экспертов,
that they
в
did
результате
that
войн,
only
хочу
to make
обратить на это
everyone
внимание,
forget
не мы
what the
придумали эти
so-called
цифры.
West has been
Американцы
doing
сами дают.
in the last decade. But it was them who let this genie out of the bottle. Entire regions were immersed into chaos. By estimates of American experts as a result of those wars. And we are not the ones who came up with these numbers. Americans are presenting these numbers as a result of the wars unleashed by the U.S. after 2001. Some 900,000 people died. More than 38 million became refugees.
С людскими жертвами и трагедиями никто из них не
And they
считается.
want to
Потому что на
erase
кону
it from
стоят,
the
конечно,
memory of humankind. They are
триллионы
pretending
долларов.
as if
Возможность
it has
дальше
not happened.
обкрадывать всех, прикрываясь
But no
словами о
one will
демократии
forget
и
it
свободах,
in the
но
world
создать неолиберальные
with so
тоталитарные
many
по своему
casualties
сути
and so many
ценности.
tragedies, but they don't care
Навешивать
about
ярлыки
them
на целые
because
страны
what
и
they have
народы,
at stake is
публично оскорблять
trillions
их
of
лидеров.
dollars and the
Подавлять
opportunity to
инакомыслие в своих
continue
собственных
to
странах,
steal
создавая
from
образ
everyone,
врага,
hiding behind the words about
внимание
freedom
людей
and
от коррупционных
democracy
скандалов,
by imposing totalitarian
сакральных, как
values
происходит
that they
здесь.
call liberal, putting
Мы всё это
labels
видим.
on
От
entire
растущих
countries and
внутренних,
peoples by
экономических,
publicly
социальных,
insulting their
межнациональных
leaders.
проблем и
They are
противоречий.
suppressing freedom of thought in their own countries. They try to distract their own people from the corruption scandals. Because we can all see it on the screens, on television, from growing inner, social, international, and other kind of problems. Back in the 1930s, they led the way for Nazis to take power in Germany. And in our time, they started building anti-Russia from Ukraine. It's nothing new. People who know a little bit of history, they are perfectly aware of what's going on. It can be traced back to the 19th century. It was happening in Austria-Hungary, in Poland, and in other countries with the only goal to take away these historic territories that are now called Ukraine from our country. That was their goal. There is nothing new about it. Absolutely nothing. They are just repeating old ways. The West expedited the implementation of this project. They supported the coup in 2014. It was a bloody coup, anti-state coup, anti-constitutional coup, and it's like nothing happened, like it's a normal way of things. They even informed everyone how much money they spent on this. And they used Russophobia, aggressive nationalism as an ideology. Recently, one of the battalions of Ukraine, it's shameful for us to hear, they started calling one of the battalions Edelweiss, like a Hitlerite division that was involved in executing prisoners of war and killing Jews all across Europe. And the National Guard of Ukraine and Army of Ukraine are using Podkov and other SS divisions who have covered their hands in blood up to their elbows. They use marking of Wehrmacht and Nazi Germany on their equipment. Neo-Nazis, they are not even hiding who they consider themselves, who they descended from. And it's astonishing that no one in the West is noticing this, taking notice of this. Why? Because they do not care. They don't care about who to place a bet on when it comes to fighting Russia, fighting us. The main thing is that they are waging war against us, against Russia, and that means they need to use everyone. Terrorists, neo-Nazis, the devil if they have to. The main thing for them is to follow their will and to use their weapons against Russia. This project of anti-Russia is part of the revenge that they are taking against our country. They are creating hotbeds of instability near our borders. Back then, in the 1930s, and already now, their idea has remained the same, to turn to the rapid aggression against the East, to inflame the wars in Europe with someone else's hands by eliminating competition.
Экономическом смысле.
We're not at war.
Десятилетиями разрушали украинскую промышленность, грабили
The people of Ukraine are no hostages to the Kiev regime and their Western masters, who have effectively occupied the country in a political, military and economic sense. For decades, they've been destroying the Ukrainian industry, exploiting Ukrainian natural resources, and this led to an escalation and to an increased poverty and inequality. And of course, this is something that feeds the feelings that fuel the war. It is truly a sad situation where people are being sacrificed for this war. The responsibility for stoking this war is entirely on the shoulders of the Western elites and the Kiev regime, who views the Ukrainian people not as their own people, but as someone else. And they're not serving their national interests, but Western interests. The West is using Ukraine as a tool, as a testing ground, and as a launch pad against us. One thing should be clear. The more long-range weapons are sent to Ukraine, the longer we will have to push the threat away from our borders. That's natural. The Western elites do not conceal their goal of effecting a strategic defeat on Russia. That is their words. That means that they want to take us off the map. They want to turn the local conflict into a global confrontation. And this is how we understand this. And we will respond adequately. Because this is now about the very existence of our country. But they cannot ignore the fact that Russia cannot be defeated on the battlefield. So they're waging increasingly aggressive information attacks. First of all, targeting the young generations, lying on every step, distorting historical truth, attacking our culture, the Russian Orthodox Church, and other traditional religious institutions in our country. Now look at what they're doing with their own peoples. They're destroying the institution of family, their cultural and historical identity, and various perversions with regard to children up to pedophilia are accepted as the new norm, and priests are forced to recognize and officiate same-sex weddings. People can live however they want, and we in Russia have never intruded into people's private life, and we're not going to do that. But what we want to say is maybe they should take a look in the scripture, into the holy book of any great religion. It says that the family is a union between woman and man. And these holy texts are now being increasingly doubted in the West. The Anglican Church is now considering the idea of a gender-neutral God. What can we say? God forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Millions of people in the West realize that they're being led towards a spiritual catastrophe. People are going mad, and this does not seem to be treatable. But this is their problem, and it is our duty to protect our children, and it's something that we are going to do, to protect them from degradation. It is obvious that the West will be trying to shatter our unity and support traitors who despise their native land and who want to have a profit on their country's troubles. Those who choose the path of traitorship, who carry out terrorist attacks against our country, who undermine the security and unity and integrity of our country, are being supported by the Kiev regime, but we're not going to engage in witch hunts. We're not going to exact revenge on those who took the wrong step, who made the wrong choice. What's most important is that Russian people give a moral assessment to those actions, and we're very proud that our multinational people and the majority of Russian citizens have adopted a principled position with regard to the special military operation. They understood what we're doing and they supported our actions in Donbass. This was a true show of patriotism, of the feelings that are historically characteristic of our people. It's something that we see in our history, and it's a way that we see that our fate is the fate of our country. They're one and the same. Friends, I would like to thank all of you and the entire people of Russia, to say thank you to the soldiers and officers in the army, in the navy, in all parts and units of the armed forces, to the volunteers of Donetsk and Lugansk, to those who fight as part of the Bars Army Reserve. And I apologize for not being able to list all of the parts of our society. When I prepared the speech, I had a long list of the heroic units, and then I decided to take it out because, as I've said, it's not possible to name every one of them. So I don't want to leave anybody out. So I bow down before the parents and spouses of those who fight in the special military operation, the doctors and nurses, the sanitary instructors and the railway workers and the truck drivers who carry supplies for the front line, the builders who restore civilian facilities and those working several shifts at defense manufacturing facilities, and those who strive to make our country more secure and more prepared. I want to say thank you to the teachers who take care of the younger generation, especially those who work in the difficult and dangerous conditions near the front lines, and various cultural figures who come to the front line to cheer up our soldiers, volunteers and journalists, first of all the military correspondents who risk their lives at the front line to tell the word, the truth, leaders of Russian traditional religions, and especially military priests whose sermons inspire our soldiers and officers, civil servants and business people, those who carry out their civil and human duty
на референдуме. Сделай твердый выбор. Особые слова жителям Донецкой и Луганской народных республик.
A special thank you to those who live in the Donetsk and Lugansk republics, the Zaporozhye and Kherson regions. You decided what future you want to have at the referendums. You made a clear choice despite the terror and the threats from the neo-Nazis. When military action was close to your homes, but your decision to be with Russia was strong, to be with your native land. We have already begun, and we will continue.
Хочу подчеркнуть, что эта реакция зала в адрес жителей Донецка, Луганской народной республики, Запорожья и Херсона. Еще раз
I want to emphasize that this response from the audience to people living in the Donetsk and Lugansk republics and the Kherson and Zaporozhye regions was unprompted. Thank you. So we will continue to scale up programs for providing social support in these new regions of the Russian Federation. We will restore the industry and bring back jobs, ports, the Sea of Azov, and build modern railroads, as we did in Crimea, which now has a reliable land link with the rest of Russia. Our joint efforts will make this possible. The constituent entities of the Russian Federation are now directly supporting urban and rural localities and the Donetsk and Lugansk republics and the Zaporozhye and Kherson regions like brothers. And so we've become even stronger. And we will do everything we can so that peace settles once again on this land. And we are secure once again. This and our ancestors and the future of our children and grandchildren. Restoring historical truth is what our soldiers, our heroes, are fighting for today. Friends, I want to pay tribute to those who gave their lives fighting for our country, and to the civilians who died at the hands of the neo-Nazi.
Мы все понимаем. Я понимаю, как невыносимо тяжело сейчас женам, сыновьям, дочерям павших воинов, их родителям, которые считали достойных защитников Отечества, таких же, как и молодогвардейцы Краснодона. Я понимаю, как
Now we realize, and I realize, how unbearable it is for the families, the spouses and parents of fallen soldiers, but they
помнят вся Россия. Наш долг поддержать семьи, потерявшие родных, близких,
made it possible that they grow up heroes, just like during the Second World War, when their ancestors fought against the Nazis.
Должна быть в зоне постоянного внимания, окружена заботой и почетом. На их нужды нужно откликаться сразу, без волокит.
And their spirit and their sacrifice is something that we remember.
Предлагаю создать специальный государственный фонд. Его задачей станет адресная персональная помощь семьям погибших бойцов и ветеранам специальной военной операции. Он будет Он будет координировать предоставление социальной, медицинской, психологической поддержки, решать вопросы санитарно-курортного лечения и реабилитации, помогать в образовании, спорте, предпринимательстве, в повышении квалификации, в получении новой профессии. Отдельное Важнейшая задача фонда — организация долговременного ухода на дому, высокотехнологичное протезирование для всех, кто в этом нуждается. Я прошу правительство совместно с комиссией Госсовета по социальным вопросам, по социальной политике, регионами в кратчайшие сроки решить все организационные вопросы. Работа государственного фонда должна быть открытой, а сам порядок оказания помощи простым, по принципу одного окна, без казенщины и бюрократии. За каждой семьей,
all those tasked with social policy and the regions of the Russian Federation to make sure that this happens. The procedure should be open and transparent, and the procedure should be simple, on a one-stop basis, without any red tape. So every family, I want to emphasize this, every family of a fallen soldier, every veteran should have their own personal social worker or coordinator.
Уже действует мера поддержки ветеранов Великой Отечественной войны, которые в ходе личного общения в режиме реального времени будет решать возникающие вопросы, о котором я сказал,
who will solve all the problems in real time. We must make sure that this foundation is operational during this year in all regions. We have frameworks to support veterans and people who took part in local conflicts, and I think that this foundation may take up these issues in the future. We need to discuss that, and I request the government to do that.
This does not lift responsibility from other state agencies. I expect every region, every department to pay the closest attention to the veterans of former soldiers and officers and their family. In this regard, I would like to thank the heads of the regions, mayor of the cities, who meet with people who travel to the line of contact, to the front line, and they support their fellow citizens. And here is what I would like to emphasize especially. Now, draftees and volunteers and officers and soldiers of the army are thinking about the supplies for them and about the remuneration for their wounds and injuries that they receive, the health care and the requests that the governors are receiving, and the ombudsman on the rights of human rights. We receive a lot of these requests, and it means that a lot of problems are still not resolved, so we need to take care of every individual case. And obviously, serving in the zone of special military operation is a heavy burden for everyone involved, and they are taking risks for their lives on a daily basis. So I think for all the military servicemen, for all the participants of the special military operation, including volunteers, they should receive holidays at least once a year, no less than 14 days, and the travel arrangements as well, so that every soldier could visit their families, be around their loved ones. Colleagues, as you know, we have approved by the presidential decree the plan to develop the armed forces for up until 2025, and the work on its implementation is in progress. We are introducing necessary adjustments, and our next steps to strengthen our armed fleet, to develop the armed forces now and in the future, it should be underpinned by the military experience we are gaining during the special military operation. It is of utmost importance to us, and it's very important to us. And the nuclear forces of Russia is more than 91% of its state-of-the-art systems. And now we'd like to reiterate, considering the experience that we are getting, we should receive the same high-quality level across all the components of our armed forces.
служить мощным кадровым резервом для вооруженных сил. Офицеры и сержанты, которые должны быть
officers and sergeants who prove themselves
в органах
as
власти всех уровней.
decisive commanders who think in the modern way, and there are many of them.
Это очень важно.
They should be promoted to higher ranks, they should be sent to the military colleges and academies, and they should serve as the catered reserve for the armed forces. And obviously, they should also receive all kind of positions in the bodies of power at all levels. I would like to draw your attention to this, because people, they need to understand that their motherland appreciates their effort, their contribution to protect their homeland. We will introduce state-of-the-art technology that will help us to improve the quality and potential of our army and fleet. And we have such innovations in every direction, in every area. A lot of them are vastly better than similar equipment from abroad. And now we need to start to mass produce them. And we are doing this. We are keeping up the momentum, and we are using our own industrial base, scientific base, and we're using small-sized, medium-sized enterprises to do this, and industries. We have experienced specialists and more younger people involved in this who are talented, well-qualified, and they want to achieve breakthroughs, and they stay true to the tradition of Russian armors, and they want to do everything so that we could achieve victory. And we will strengthen the guarantees for the workers. It goes for salaries and allowances and social security. I suggest to start special program on the subsidized rent housing for the defense industries, and the rate should be lower than across the market, because the larger share of the rent will be paid by the state for such employees. We talked about this with the government, so I instruct to work on all the details of this program and not to delay the construction of such housing as soon as possible. First of all, in the cities that are important for our defense efforts and for our research efforts. Dear colleagues, like I said, the West has unleashed not only military information, but also economic war. But never it did not achieve anything anywhere, and it will not succeed in its attempts anywhere. Furthermore, those who are imposing those sanctions, they are punishing themselves. They provoke the price growth, job losses, shutdown of enterprises, energy crisis in their countries, and they are telling their citizens, and we hear that, they are saying that Russians are to blame for all of this. What tools they were using against us in this sanction aggression, they were trying to disrupt the ties with the Russian companies, to switch off the financial system from the communication channels, to destroy our economy, to stop us from accessing the import markets, to stop us from receiving income. They were robbing us of our currency reserves. They were attempting to destroy ruble and to provoke destructive inflation. But again, those anti-Russian sanctions are just means, and the goal, as the Western leaders are saying themselves, and I'm quoting them, to make them suffer, to make our people suffer. So here are these dumb humanists. They want to make people suffer, to destabilize our society from the inside. But all this was in vain. Russian economy and the system of governance were much more durable than the West believed. Thanks to our joint effort of our government, of the parliament, of the Bank of Russia, the regions, and the business circles of employees, we managed to achieve sustainability of our economic situation. We have protected our citizens. We have preserved jobs. There are no shortages on the market, including the most important items. We have supported financial system and the entrepreneurs who are investing in their businesses. and they are investing in the development of the country. Last year, we have started a package of measures to support business and economy for a total sum of some 1 trillion rubles. And we have not printed anything to achieve this. Everything is based on a durable market basis, market foundation. For 2022, the GDP has decreased. So I heard that I should say this. I think yesterday it was published. In due time, everything is according to plan. But they said that we were going to decrease by 20-25%. Recently, they were giving a number of 2.9, 2.5. But the gross domestic product of 2022 decreased by 2.1%. This is the latest data. In last February, March, they were saying that the economy will crush Russian businesses. They changed the logistics ties. They have strengthened ties with reliable partners, and there is a majority of such partners across the world, and the share of Russian rubles in our international settlements, if we compare it with December 2021, has doubled, and now it's 1/3 of all the settlements, and together with the currencies of friendly states, it is more than half of all the settlements, and we will continue to work with our partners on creating sustainable and safe system of international settlements that would be independent from dollar and other Western reserve currencies. Because with these policies by the Western elites and Western leaders, it will lose its universal role. With their own hands, they are doing this. Not us. We're decreasing the settlements in dollars and other so-called universal currencies. They are doing this with their own hands. You know, there is this saying, cannons instead of butter. Of course, the defense of the country is the priority, but when we are trying to resolve these issues, we should not repeat our own previous mistakes. We should not destroy our own economy. We have everything we need to preserve our security and to continue to develop our country, and we will continue to follow this logic. And many basic civilian areas of Russian economy has not increased their output. Housing, for the first time in the modern history of our country, the construction of housing exceeded more than 100 million square meters. As for our farming last year, it doubled its growth. Thank you very much. I would like to bow down to our farmers. Russian farmers has a record harvest, more than 150 tons of grain, more than 100,000 tons of wheat. Till the end of the 30th June of 2023, we will be able to reach a total export volume of grain to 55 or even 60 million tons. 10, 15 years, it seemed impossible. It seemed like something that is impossible to achieve. Maybe you remember, and some of you probably might, not that long ago. We have Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Agriculture. We had 60 million in total, and now 55 or 60 we are going to export. That would be our export potential. I'm convinced that we have every opportunity to achieve the same breakthroughs in other areas. There were no decreases in the job market, and we have decreased unemployment. Even against all the difficulties, our employment market has become more comfortable, has become better than it was before. Before the pandemic, we had 4.7% the unemployment rate, and now it's 3.7%, I think. Is it? 3.7. That's the record low number. The economy of Russia has overcome the risks it has. Yes, a lot of them. A lot of those risks were impossible to calculate in advance. We had to react on the fly whenever we faced it, both at the state level and at the businesses level. We were trying to make prompt decisions. And I would like to mention the private initiatives of the medium-sized and small-sized businesses. We should not forget about this. We have evaded too much red tape and regulating the economy to make it more dependent on the state. What's also important, the decrease in the economy was only in the second quarter, and in the third and in the fourth quarter, we have seen the growth. We have reached a new cycle of the economic growth. Per estimates of the experts, of the pundits, its structure is now changing, reaching a new quality level. We are looking at the new global markets, including our own inner market, the scientific and technology employees, not only selling our resources abroad, but achieving additional value. It allows us to tap into the great potential that Russia has in all the areas. Already this year we can forecast the growth of the inner demand. I'm sure that our companies will use this opportunity to increase the output, the production of the most in-demand commodities, to fill in the niches that were elaborated after the Western companies have withdrawn. Now we can see the full picture. We understand that the structural problems that we need to resolve in logistics, in technology, in finance, in personnel. We kept talking about the need to change the structure of our economy over the last years. And now these changes is something that we must do. And it changes the situation for the better. In this particular case, we understand what needs to be done for the development of Russia, sovereign development of Russia, despite any pressure from the outside and any threats from the outside, with the same guarantees of security and interests of the country. And I would like to draw your attention, I would like to emphasize this: the gist of our work is not to adjust to the current conditions. Strategic goal is to bring our economy to the new level, new horizons. Everything is changing now, everything is changing fast. This time is not only a time of challenges, but it is also a time of opportunities. It is true today. And our future depends on how we will implement it. We should get rid of all the differences, all kind of personal problems that we might have in our state bodies. Everything should be aimed at achieving a goal. Successful launch of Russian companies' small family enterprises will be a victory to us. New state-of-the-art factories and new roads will be a victory to us. New schools, new kindergartens will be victory for us. New scientific breakthroughs, new innovations and inventions will be a victory. It's something that everyone can contribute to achieve our own common goal.
Now, what areas do we need to focus on in terms of the cooperation between the state and the businesses? We need to expand promising economic ties and build new logistics corridors. The decision has already been made to extend the Moscow-Kazan highway to Yekaterinburg, Chelyabinsk-Tyumen, and then to Irkutsk and to Vladivostok, connecting with Kazakhstan and China, which will expand our ties with Asian countries. We will develop the ports, the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, and this is already the focus of some parts of our governments, and we will strengthen the north-south corridor this year. We will expand our channels for new types of vessels connecting to Iran, Pakistan, and we will continue to develop our ties and develop the corridors. The eastern direction of our railways, the Trans-Siberian Railway and the Baikal-Amur main line, as well as the northern sea route. This will be beneficial not only for the cargo flows, but also for the development of Siberia and other regions. Infrastructure will be developed, including communications and transport. In 2024, at least 85% of roads in urban localities and also municipal roads will be brought up to the national standard, and I'm confident that we will achieve this target. Gasification, free of charge for households, will now be expanded to social facilities such as kindergartens and healthcare facilities. And this will be a program that will be constantly available for people. You will always be able to apply to have a gas connection, to have your house connected to the grid. A larger program of construction and repairs for housing and utilities infrastructure will be carried out. 4.5 trillion rubles will be invested in that over a period of 10 years. It's important for this program to start with a strong momentum. So I ask the government to provide the necessary financing right away. We need to strengthen our industry, so we have the industrial mortgage instrument. Subsidized loans will be available for buying sites to construct manufacturing facilities and also to modernize existing facilities. And this will be a great contribution. These loans will be up to 500 million rubles, and the rates will be 3 to 5%, and they will be provided for a term up to 7 years. I think that is truly a great start. Starting this year, we'll be reducing fiscal and administrative burdens for resident companies and industrial clusters, and they will receive subsidies from the state and long-term state procurement contracts. By 2030, we will ensure 10 trillions worth of projects to be implemented, and we expect that about 2 trillion will be invested in the nearest period. And those are the targets that we have, and I request the government to accelerate the launch of these projects and to provide systemic support measures, including tax benefits, to the companies that need it. I know that our financial administration agencies love various benefits and various rules. And I know that they like to invent new rules, but I think this is the case where these new rules might be beneficial. Starting this year, Russian companies will be able to reduce their income tax if they buy modern Russian IT solutions and artificial intelligence products. And this will be considered with a multiplier of 1.5 relative to the actual costs. And I think the tax benefits will be expanded so that people who buy Russian high-tech products can benefit from additional tax reduction mechanisms and use simplified procedures. Next. Yes, that is truly a great solution that will help our economy. An important issue on our economic agenda is finding new source of investment, and we've talked about that. Russia has a strong payment balance. It does not need to lend any money from other countries, and so we don't have to worry about how to repay our debt. Russian banks are stable and sustainable. They have a good reserve. Last year, loans to corporate entities actually grew. There were many concerns about potential troubles, but we have seen a growth. And it grew by 14%, which is more than in 2021, when there was no military operation. In 2021, it grew by 11.7%, and now we see a growth of 14%. The total sum of mortgages grew by 24.4%, and the bank sector as a whole ended the year with a profit. Of course, it was not so much as it was before, but it was 203 billion rubles, which is another indicator of the sustainability of our system. In the second quarter of 2023, inflation will reach the target of 4%, or at least come close to that. In some countries we're seeing 17 or 18 or even 20%, and we have 4, well maybe 5. The central bank and the finance ministry have differing assessments, but we're still getting close to the target. Considering this and the positive dynamics of other macroeconomic indicators, we are shaping our strategy with regard to long-term credit rates, and I think that loans must be more accessible across the country. The long-term savings that people need to be more sustainable, and I request the government to accelerate the introduction of draft laws, to launch a state program in April this year to create better conditions for people to invest and to earn money domestically, and we must secure the people's savings and retirement funds. So we need to ensure effective insurance for people's deposits. I think we have a good program to ensure people's investments, and I think we should have even better conditions for pension funds. We must also protect people's use of longer-term investment tools, and including ensuring against bankruptcy, and additional support is needed to bring in more capital to growing businesses. They must have access to domestic stock exchanges on better terms, and terms should be better both for companies and for buyers of shares. And the freedom of entrepreneurship is a very important aspect. All the attempts to contain Russia and to limit Russia showed that Russia is able to adapt and grow in difficult conditions. So every initiative that aims to help the country must be supported. And I think it is a good step to revise some criminal law provisions concerning the economic tribes. The state is reviewing the situation in this area, and we should not ignore the crimes that happen, but we should not have an excessively punitive approach. And we will have consistent and good work in this regard, and I request the government to work with the parliament and to suggest additional measures to accelerate the de-offshorization of the economy. Businesses and key sectors of the economy must operate in the Russian jurisdiction. This should be the basic principle. And in this regard, colleagues, I will just add a little philosophical part. So what I wanted to say is we remember the problems and imbalances that the late Soviet economy faced. So after the dissolution of the Soviet Union and its planned economy, and the chaos of the 90s, the country started to create a new economy based on market relations and private property. And it took its lessons from Western countries. There were many countries who wanted to advise, and we thought that it was sufficient to just copy their models. Though I remember that the Europeans and the Americans had some disputes on how the Russian economy should develop. But what did we get? The Russian national economy became West-oriented to a large extent, and it was mostly viewed as a source of raw commodities, and the reason for that is clear. The Russian business, which was mostly oriented towards getting a quick profit, like businesses are wont to do, and the best source of a quick profit was found in selling natural resources, such as oil and other resources. So they didn't think about long-term investment. So the more value-added sectors of the economy only developed weakly, and we needed to break this trend and to reverse it. We had to restructure the system of governance to support investment, and we do have substantial results. But we need to remember the situation where our big businesses developed and evolved. Western companies had access to capital, and the best markets were in the West, and so capital started flowing to the West. And so, instead of modernizing production facilities, instead of creating new jobs here in Russia, companies spent their money to buy elite housing abroad, and business people tried to invest in luxury purchases, and they tried to be rich and to show it off. And of course, having connected themselves to the West so much, they sent their children abroad to study, and it became very hard to disassociate from the West, because we lived in a Western paradigm economically. The West started to be seen as a safe haven and a place where you could always land. It turned out to be an illusion, and those who planned their future in the West and wanted to go there after they get enough money were ultimately are scammed out of their money. I remember that I said, speaking to representatives of the Russian businesses, that they would face a lot of trouble trying to get their riches back in various offices in the West, and that's how it turned out. Now I will add one simple thought. None of the ordinary citizens of Russia had any pity for those who lost their money in Western banks.
They do not feel bad for those who lost their mansions and yachts, and in the kitchens people are speaking about the privatization that happened in the 1990s when the enterprises that were built by the entire countries were sold cheap. And the luxury of the so-called nouveau riches from Russia. What's also important, all those years after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the West attempted to put post-Soviet states on fire and to finish off Russia as the biggest part of our historic state. They were encouraging, they were pitting international terrorists against us, they were provoking regional conflicts along our borders, they were ignoring our interests, and they were using economy tools to suppress us, to contain us, and larger Russian enterprises. Why? I'm saying this. Larger Russian businesses are responsible for strategic enterprises, for thousands-strong collectives. They define the situation in the region, so the situation when the owners, when the administrators of such businesses are dependent on the states who pursue unfriendly policies towards Russia is a big threat to us, to our security, to the security of our country. And such state of affairs we cannot tolerate. Yes, everyone has a choice. Someone wants to live out their days in a rested mansion with frozen accounts. They will try to look a place in an attractive Western capital or resort or in some other warm place abroad. It is the right of any person. We are not trying to rid them of this right, but it's high time we understood that for the West, such people have always been a second-rate aliens, and they can do anything they want, money, ties, and the titles of nobility that they bought. They will not help them, and they have to understand that they are second-rate citizens there. But there is also another choice. To be with your country, with your motherland, to work for your fellow citizens, not only to launch new enterprises, but to change around yourself for the better, in cities, in towns, in smaller settlements, and such entrepreneurs, such fighters from the business circles, we have plenty of them. And the future of Russian business is with them. Everyone has to understand the source of well-being, of welfare should be here, in their home country, in Russia. And then we will create durable, independent, self-sufficient economy that will not shut itself from the world, but will use its competitive advantages. Capitals, money that were earned here must be used to develop the country. We have so much potential in developing infrastructure, inner tourism, and other areas in fields of the economy. I would like to be heard by those who faced this aggression from the West, trying to run around and beg, to humiliate yourself to return your money, will not help. It's useless, especially now when you understand who you are dealing with. You should not hang on to the past. You should not try to sue them, to beg them to return something. You should change your life, your ways. And you are strong people. I'm talking to our businessmen. I know a lot of them personally for many years. They are strong people who have vast experience. You should start new projects. You should make more money, invest this money in Russia, invest in new jobs, in schools, in universities, in science and healthcare, in culture and sports. Only this way you will both multiply your capitals and you will yield the gratitude of people generations to come. And the state and society will support you in this effort.
Выстраивать работу в нужном направлении. Уважаемые коллеги, Россия открытая страна и при этом самобытная цивилизация. В этом утверждении нет никакой претензии на исключительность и превосходство. Но эта цивилизация наша. Будем считать, что это напутствие нашему бизнесу.
Let's consider that it's an encouragement to our businesses about how they should build their work. Russia is an open country, but it is a independent civilization. We are not trying to consider ourselves exceptional or superior, but this civilization is ours. That's the main thing. We inherited it from our ancestors, and we should preserve it for our descendants, and we should pass it on. We will develop cooperation with our friends, with everyone who is willing to work together. We will learn from the best, but first of all, we will count on our own potential, on the creative power and potential of the Russian society, on our values. And I would like to speak about the character of our people, who was always generous and cordial. And Russia as a country reflects these traits. We know how to be friends, how to be true to our word. We will not let anyone down, and we will always support in the difficult times. We will always come to the rescue to those who are in dire straits. Everyone remembers how during the pandemic we were the first ones to support some of the European nations, including Italy and other countries, during the most difficult weeks of the pandemic, of the COVID outbreak. And we come to the aid when there is an earthquake, like it happened in Syria and in Turkey. The people of Russia is the foundation of the sovereignty of Russia. It's the source of power. The freedoms and rights of our citizens are guaranteed by the Constitution. Despite all the external challenges and threats, we will not walk away from them. And in this regard, I would like to emphasize that the elections, both to the regional and local administration and presidential election of 2024, will be held in accordance with the law, in accordance with all the democratic and constitutional procedures. Elections, as always, is about approach and resolving social and economic tasks. The political forces are consolidated about the main thing, and the main thing is the safety and welfare of our people, well-being of our people, sovereignty and national interests. I would like to thank you for such a responsible, firm position, and I would like to remind you about the words of a patriot and a statesman, Pyotr Stolypin. He said that during his speech in State Duma more than 100 years ago, but they still ring true. He said, when it comes to protection of Russia, we all must join our efforts, concert our efforts and our responsibilities and our rights to support one highest right, the right of Russia to be strong.
В числе добровольцев, которые сейчас находятся на передовой, есть и депутаты Государственной Думы, и региональных парламентов, представители органов исполнительной власти разных уровней, муниципалитетов, городов, районов, сельских поселений, все парламентские партии, ведущие общественные объединения В числе добровольцев, которые
Among the volunteers that are now at the front lines, there are State Duma deputies and from the regional parliaments, representatives from our various level of municipalities, from the cities and districts and rural villages, all the parliamentary parties and movements are contributing to the humanitarian relief for the front line. Once again, thank you for such a patriotic position. A huge role to strengthen the civil society in resolving day-to-day issues is the local administration, the closest administration to the people. It depends on them how big is the trust to the state and social well-being of the people, and how confident they are about the future of the country. I would like to instruct the administration of the president and the government to come up with suggestions on how we can create tools to support best administration teams and practices in smaller or medium-level municipalities. The development of the society means responsibility for yourself and for your close ones, for your country. These traits should be trained from childhood in the families and strengthening of our values of the national identity. We should do it via strengthening our culture, our education, and our various bodies and agencies of the state will support all these efforts. Traditional and contemporary art, realism and avant-garde, classic and innovations. It's not about genres. It's not about directions. Art should serve beauty, harmony. Sometimes it should set controversial questions about life, but the main thing, it should not destroy the society, but to bring out the best qualities in a man. The development of culture will be one of the priorities when the peaceful life will be restored in Donbass. We should restore hundreds of institutions of culture, including museums, buildings of the museums, something that will allow people to feel the connection between the past and the present, to tie it with the future, belonging to the one cultural, historic, educational space of the great Russia that is many centuries old. Teachers, scientists, specialists should help us to improve the quality of our higher education in liberal arts, in history and geography and literature, so that our younger people could learn as much as possible about the great past of our country, about its culture and traditions. We have very talented younger generation that is eager to work for the future of our country in culture, in science, in sports, in business, and in administration. It is for such people new horizons of professional growth is given by such programs as Leaders of Russia and Leaders of Innovation that is now being held in the regions. Some of the participants of these programs have volunteered to join the army. A lot of them are working at the liberated territory. They help to restore the civilian peaceful life, and they act professionally and they act as true heroes. Because this school of combat cannot be replaced and substituted with anything. These people are ready to risk their lives for their homeland, wherever they work, wherever they go. And I would like to emphasize it is those who return Donbass and Novorossiya will be the main pillar, should become the main pillar in developing these regions, restoring these regions. I would like to address them, and I would like to tell them that Russia is counting on you. Considering large-scale tasks that our country is facing, we should adjust our approaches to to the training, to hiring policy. We have talked about the need to clearly define the priorities, to focus our resources on achieving concrete and principled scientific results. First of all, in those areas where we have good foundation and that are of critical importance for the life in the country, including transport, energy, the community system, healthcare. The new technologies almost always underpinned by fundamental researches. And in this area, like in culture, and like to emphasize this, we should give scientists and researchers more freedom to be creative, because you cannot make everyone think about the results of tomorrow. Science works according to its own laws, and resolving ambitious goals is the strong impetus for the younger people to join the science, the ability to prove yourself as a leader, as the best one in the world. And our research teams, they have a lot to be proud of. Last December, I met young researchers, and one of the questions that they were raising is housing. Well, maybe it's a trivial thing, but it is an important thing nevertheless. We have housing certificates for young scientists last year. Additionally, we have allocated 1 billion rubles for these goals. I instruct the government to find the reserves to expand this program. Over the last year, the prestige and authority of the professional education, vocational education has grown. There is a lot of interest towards this kind of education. Since the unemployment is historically low now, 3.7%, it means that people have jobs. So we need new personnel, we need new people. I think that we should drastically expand the project of the vocational education and to create clusters, create new educational bases, and for the enterprises to work together with the colleges coming from the needs of the economy. And it is very important to have instructors and teachers who have experience from practice from enterprises. The goal is for the next 5 years to train some 1 million professionals for electronics, for pharmaceuticals, for agriculture, and for defense industry, for construction, for transport, for nuclear and other areas that are of key importance for safety, security, and to preserve competition level in Russia.
And finally, the very important issue of our universities. Some amendments need to be done to the system, considering the new requirements from all sectors of the economy and other parts of our life. We need to combine the successes of the Soviet system and the experience of the recent decades. And here I'd like to suggest the following. First, we need to return to the basic training of people with higher education that has been traditional for our country. Based on 4 to 6 years of study, and one university could provide different programs for one and the same type of education depending on the requirements of the sector. And if a person has received education on a narrow field, they may continue their education on a master's program. And we also must have graduate programs for those who want to engage in teaching or research. And jointly with the Parliament, we'll need to elaborate amendments to the education and employment law will have to think this through really good, because our young people need to have new opportunities for education and for employment and professional development. So I repeat, they need to have opportunities and not problems. And I would like to emphasize that those students who are in university today will continue with the programs that they currently have. And the education certificate and diplomas of those people who have already received education should not lose and should not lose out in the situation. So this needs to be monitored closely in order to make this happen. This year is a year of the teacher, and teachers are very important. They are building the future of our country. So we need to raise the prestige and the awareness of the role of the teacher in our country, so that parents teach their children that they need to feel grateful and that teachers respect parents and the role of the family. Let's always remember that. I think that support for childhood and the family deserves special mention. Our budget for such support measures has grown several times over. It's one of the fastest growing sections of the national budget. And I would like to thank the Parliament and the government for their consolidated approach to our national priorities. Starting February 1st, the maternity capital will indexed to reflect the actual inflation for last year, that is 11.9%. And this now also covers people living in the new regions of the Russian Federation. And maternity capital should be provided to people in the Donetsk and Lugansk republics and the Zaporozhye and Kherson regions, to families who have had children since 2007. This is my proposal. So the period of eligibility should be the same as in Russia, is what I'm trying to say. I want to remind you that we made the same decision for people living in Crimea and Sevastopol. Programs to improve the well-being of Russian families will be expanded. All the levels of government will be instructed to ensure the growth of real incomes. And an important indicator here is not the minimum pay, but we increased it 2 times last year to a total of 20%, and we will continue to increase the minimum level of pay, reflecting inflation, and we have already reflected inflation to the level of 6.3% since the start of this year, and I suggest that we carry out an additional indexation of 10%. This means that the minimum pay will grow by 18.5% to be 19,242 rubles. Now, as regards the tax system and adjusting it to benefit Russian families, starting this year, families with 2 children or more will not have to pay real estate taxes if they want to buy a new apartment or house. We need to make wider use of such instruments. There has been a significant demand for those. Families can use them to raise their quality of life, and I suggest that we increase
в проактивном режиме, быстро и дистанционно, не обременительно для граждан. Далее. Благополучие, качество жизни российских семей, а значит, демографическая ситуация прямо зависит от положения дел в социальной сфере. Знаю, что многие субъекты Федерации готовы значительно ускорить обновление социальной инфраструктуры, объектов культуры и спорта, расселение аварийного жилья, комплексное развитие сельских территорий. Такой настрой, безусловно, будет поддержан. Используем здесь следующий механизм. Средства на национальные проекты, которые зарезервированы в федеральном бюджете на 2024 год, регионы смогут получить и использовать уже сейчас через беспроцентные казначейские кредиты. В апреле будущего года они будут автоматически погашены. Хороший инструмент. Будем держать этот вопрос на постоянном оперативном контроле. И прошу подключиться к этой работе комиссию Госсовета. Нам не нужна штурмовщина и погоня за объемами, тем более в ущерб качеству возводимых объектов. Дополнительные финансовые ресурсы должны сработать с высокой отдачей и результативностью. Это, собственно, особенно важно для модернизации первичного звена здравоохранения. Такая масштабная программа стартовала у нас в 2021 году. Прошу правительства и руководителей регионов не забывать. Главный критерий, уже много-много раз об этом говорил, не цифры в отчетах, а конкретные, видимые, ощутимые изменения в доступности и качестве медицинской помощи. Также поручаю правительству скорректировать нормативную базу для организации закупок санитарных автомобилей с комплектом диагностического оборудования. Они позволяют проводить диспансеризацию, профилактический осмотр непосредственно на предприятиях, в школах, учреждениях, в отдаленных населенных пунктах. Мы запустили большую программу обновления школ. К концу этого года в общей сложности будет приведено в порядок почти 3500 школьных зданий. Обращаю внимание, из них большая часть в сельских территориях. Мы специально это сделаем. В этом году такая работа также разворачивается в Донецкой и Луганской народных республиках, в Херсонской и Запорожской областях. Она значимая, видимая. Люди реально видят, что происходит. Это очень хорошо. С 2025 года федеральные средства на ремонт и обновление детских садов, школ, техникумов и колледжей будут выделяться регионам на регулярной, систематической основе, чтобы в принципе не допускать ситуации, когда здания оказываются в запущенном состоянии. Далее. Мы поставили значимую цель за период с 2019 по 2024 год построить более 1300 новых школ. 850 из них уже открыто. Планируется, что в текущем году будет введено еще 400. Прошу регионы эти планы выдерживать, четко выдерживать. Объем финансирования этой программы из федерального бюджета с 2019 года по 2024 почти 490 миллиардов рублей. И мы эти расходы не снижаем. Мы это все сохраним. В этом году мы нарастили объем инфраструктурных бюджетных кредитов. Направляем дополнительно, хочу это подчеркнуть, не так, как планировали раньше, а дополнительно 250 миллиардов рублей на развитие транспортной, коммунальной и другой инфраструктуры в регионах. Поручаю правительству выделить плюсом к этим средствам еще 50 миллиардов рублей. Они целевым образом пойдут на обновление в текущем году общественного транспорта в субъекты Федерации, причем на основе современных технологий. При этом прошу особое внимание здесь уделить малым городам и сельским территориям. Мы уже приняли решение продлить до 2030 года проект «Чистый воздух», цель которого – оздоровить экологическую ситуацию в крупнейших индустриальных центрах. Обращаю внимание промышленных компаний, и региональных, местных органов власти. Задача существенно снизить вредные выбросы с повестки дня не снимается. Добавлю, что мы неплохо продвинулись в реформировании отрасли по обращению с отходами. Наращиваем мощности по переработке и сортировке, чтобы перейти к экономике замкнутого цикла. В приоритете дальнейшая ликвидация старых мусорных свалок и опасных объектов накопленного вреда. Прошу правительства совместно с регионами уже сейчас подготовить перечень тех объектов накопленного вреда, которые будут ликвидироваться после завершения действующей программы. Продолжим и оздоровление уникальных водных объектов, включая Байкал и Волгу. А в среднесрочной перспективе распространим эту работу на такие наши реки, как Дон, Кама, Иртыш, Урал, Терек, Волхов и Нева, озеро Ильмень. Нельзя забывать и о наших средних и малых реках. Обращаю на это внимание всех уровней власти. По поручению, которое было дано ранее, также подготовлен проект закона о развитии туризма на особо охраняемых природных территориях. Недавно обсуждали его с коллегами из правительства. Он должен четко определить, что и где можно, а что нельзя строить. И в целом принципы работы индустрии очень важный вопрос для нашей страны. Прошу Государственную Думу ускорить рассмотрение этого законопроекта. Теперь еще несколько слов о том, что происходит вокруг нас. Уважаемые коллеги, остановлюсь еще на одной теме. В начале февраля этого года прозвучало заявление Североатлантического альянса с фактическим требованием к России, как они выражаются, вернуться к выполнению договора о стратегических наступательных, включая допуск инспекций на наши ядерные оборонные
the deliberations on this law. Now, a few words about what's happening around us. Colleagues, there is one more thing I want to speak about. This year we've heard statements by the North Atlantic Alliance demanding Russia to go back, as they say, to observing the treaty on strategic arms, including allowing it to carry out inspections on our nuclear sites. Well, that really sounds absurd. We are aware that the West is directly complicit in Kiev's attempts to make strikes against our strategic aviation. The drones used for that purpose were refitted with the help of NATO specialists. Now they want to carry out inspections on our defense facilities. Today, with the current confrontation, it really sounds like something out of a madhouse. So, carrying out actual inspections within this treaty is something that we have not been allowed to do. Our requests to organize inspections of facilities have been rejected on formal grounds, and we haven't been able to inspect anything on their side. So, I would like to emphasize that the United States and NATO directly say that their goal is to enact a strategic defeat on Russia. And so, are they going to just travel around our country, visiting our defense facilities after that? Recently, we signed a decree to put on combat duty new strategic complexes, new land-based complexes. Are they going to inspect those as well? Or do they expect to be let to carry out their inspections there?
И тоже направлены против нас. Они же тоже направлены против России. Последние заявления их лидеров это только подтверждают. Послушайте. Не учитывать этого мы просто не можем. Не имеем права. Особенно сегодня. Как и то, что первый договор о стратегических наступательных вооружениях изначально заключался Советским Союзом и Соединенными Штатами в 1991 году. Принципиально другой ситуации. В условиях снижения напряженности и укрепления взаимного доверия. В дальнейшем наши отношения вышли на такой уровень, когда Россия и США заявили, что не считают больше друг друга противниками. Учитывать этого. Замечательно, все было очень хорошо. Действующий договор 2010 года содержит важнейшие положения о недельности безопасности, о прямой взаимосвязи вопросов стратегических наступательных и оборонительных вооружений. Давно
States in a different situation
США вышли из договора по
when we were strengthening mutual trust and escalating the situation. In the future, our relations reached such a level where Russia and the United States claimed they don't consider each other
И именно они после распада Советского Союза приступили к пересмотру результатов Второй мировой войны, к строительству мира по американски, в котором есть только один хозяин.
about the indivisibility of security, about the direct connection between strategic offensive and
все
defensive
основы
weapons.
мироустройства, заложенные после Второй
All of
мировой
this is
войны,
long
чтобы перечеркнуть
forgotten. The
наследие и
United
Ялты,
States
и
withdrew
Потсдама.
from the agreement.
Шаг за шагом стали пересматривать
Let's now think of the past. Our
мироустройство,
relations, which is
демонтировать систему
important, have
безопасности и
degraded,
контроля над вооружением.
have decreased, and it's something of the United States doing. It is them, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, started reconsidering the outcomes of the World War II, building the world American way, where there is only one master, one Lord. And they started flagrantly destroying all the foundations of the world order to cancel out the legacy of Yalta and Potsdam. Step by step, they started changing the world order, dismantling the system of security and arms control. They have planned and implemented a number of wars across the world with the only goal in mind to destroy the international relations architecture that was created after World War II. It's not just a matter of speaking, that's how it's happening in practice. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, they want to become a dominating force forever, without taking into consideration the interests of the modern Russia and the interests of other countries for that matter as well. Yes, the situation after 1945 has changed. There are new, quickly growing centers of development and of influence. It is only natural, it's an objective process that cannot be ignored. But what is impossible is that the United States started changing the world order just only to suit themselves, only in their own selfish interests. And now, via NATO representatives, they are sending signals, basically, they are sending ultimatums that you, Russia, should adhere to everything we have agreed upon, including the START treaty without any misgivings. And we will do whatever we want. There is no link between the issue of the treaty and the conflict in Ukraine or other hostile activities of the West against our country. And there are statements that they want to achieve the strategic defeat of us. So either they are very cynical or they are very stupid, but they are not fools. They want to defeat us, and they want to inspect our military sites. And in this regard, I have to say that Russia is stopping its participation in the treaty about strategic offensive weapons.
И как мы будем учитывать их стратегические арсеналы, то есть совокупный ударный потенциал Альянса. Они сейчас своим заявлением сделали, по сути, заявку на участие в этом процессе.
I will reiterate once again, it does not, we do not withdraw from the treaty, but we are putting it on hold. But before we go back to discussing this matter, we need to understand first, what do such countries from North Atlantic alliances, France and the United Kingdom want, and how can we consider their strategic arsenal, which is offensive part of the offensive potential of the alliance. With their statement, they say that they want to be part of the process. Thank God, we do not mind it. But don't try to lie to everyone again to show that you want peace, that you want detente. We know that some of the nuclear weapons are almost out of their term, And we are perfectly aware that some of the officials there, they think about testing their nuclear weapons, considering that the United States, they are developing new types of the nuclear armaments. We have such information, and in this situation, the Defense Ministry and Rosatom should also prepare to test Russian nuclear weapons. Of course, we are not going to be the first ones to do this, but if the United States will hold their tests, we will follow the suit. No one should have these dangerous solutions that global nuclear parity can be destroyed.
Эта сплоченность проявилась буквально с первых дней специальной военной операции. Сотни добровольцев, представителей всех народов нашей страны пришли в военкомат, приняли решение встать рядом с защитниками Донбасса, бороться за родную землю, за отечество, за правду.
We were raised with examples of our great ancestors, and we should be worthy of their examples. We move forward because we are true to our motherland and to our unity. And it was shown since the very first days of the special military operations. Hundreds of volunteers, representatives of all the ethnic groups of Russia, came to the recruitment offices. They stand shoulder to shoulder with the defenders of Donbass to fight for their homeland, for the truth, for the justice. And now, shoulder to shoulder, warriors from all the regions of our multi-ethnic country. They pray in different languages, but all of them pray for victory, for their comrade in arms, and for their motherland.
Не могут оставаться в стороне. Фронт проходит сейчас через сердца миллионов наших людей. Они отправляют на передовую медикаменты, средства связи, снаряжение, транспорт, теплые вещи, маскировочные сети и так далее. Все, что помогает сохранить жизни наших ребят. Их тяжелые, как письма детей, школьников, согревают фронтовиков. Они берут их как самое дорогое, потому что берут с собой в бой, как самое дорогое. Потому что искренность и чистота детских пожеланий трогают до слез. У бойцов крепнет понимание, ради чего они сражаются, кого защищают. Очень значимо для воинов и их семей, для мирных жителей, и та забота, которая окружает их волонтеры с самого начала спецоперации. Они действуют смело и решительно. Под огнем, обстрелами выводят из подвалов детей, стариков, всех, кто оказался в беде. Доставляли в горячие точки и делают это до сих пор еду, воду, одежду. Разворачивают, помогают в полевых госпиталях и на линии боевого соприкосновения. Рискуя собой, спасают и продолжают спасать. Только Народный фронт в рамках инициативы «Все для победы» собрал более 5 миллиардов рублей. Такой поток пожертвований идет постоянно. Здесь предпринимателей, но особенно трогают и вдохновляют, когда ситуация, когда люди со скромными доходами перечисляют часть своих сбережений, зарплат и пенсий. Такое единение для помощи нашим воинам, мирным жителям в зоне боевых действий, беженцам, дорогого стоит. Спасибо вам за эту искреннюю поддержку, сплоченность, взаимовыручку. Их невозможно переоценить. Россия Россия ответит на любые вызовы, потому что все мы одна страна, один большой и сплоченный народ. Мы уверены в себе, уверены в своих силах. Правда за нами.
Is very important. Thank you very much for this sincere support, for this unity, for helping each other, because something that is of huge significance, something that cannot be overestimated. Russia will stand up to any challenges because we are one country, we are one big and united people. We are confident about ourselves. We are confident about our strength. The truth is with us.
let's wrap up that speech now with Russian